Welcome back to Silver Thread Sewing. I'm Diane. This is Friday Sews and another episode of hashtag Fabric Wheel of Fate. So as always, thank you for stopping by my channel for a few minutes. I've been in the sewing room some this week doing a few things. I think I had shared the other day that Greg had hung a mirror here for me, so I've been very happy with that. He got all of his tools out and measured and did all the things that men do. You know, I would have stuck a nail in the wall and hung it up and said, there you go. But he did it the correct way. And I was so grateful because now I do have a mirror where I can kind of see everything full length and maybe even take some photographs for you to see things better. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but I'm very happy with the mirror. I took some pictures of him hanging it and all of his little tools laid out here on the table, but it didn't take him very long, but he certainly did a good job, and I'm so grateful. I have been able to sew a few things this week. First, I think I had some mending for the kids to do. You know, they have clothes. They really have more clothes than this. But each of them had a pair of shorts that are worn out. They had holes everywhere, especially his shorts. So I took a little bit of footage, a little time lapse of me sitting at the machine trying to patch all these holes. And I'll try to put that in right here somewhere. So after I got that finished, it didn't take me long. It took me just an afternoon, maybe an hour or so, just to fool with it. And I had some fusible 2-inch wide strips of fusible, I guess it's like a cuff interfacing, that I had ordered from Waywack Sewing years ago. Well, maybe not years, but a long time ago. And I just cut some of that and ironed it over the holes. And then that gave me something to patch too. So it's not invisible on the outside. The stitching and all that shows. But I think it will hold together for a little while longer. So they won't have to get rid of their most beloved shorts. Now, I had done my next Fabric Wheel of Fate make. And I'll put some pictures of what I decided to do. So I decided out of this cotton knit fabric, white background and little flowers all over it, pinks and yellows and blues, I decided I wanted a pair of pajamas. Usually that is my go-to. If I want something and I don't know really what to make, I just default to pajamas because I love pajamas. I normally don't, however, make the pajama pants or pajama shorts in this case out of a knit. I generally use just 100% cotton, and that's my preferred fabric. But this beautiful cotton knit was so beautiful. I just think it is so pretty. I love the colors. And I didn't have, I think I had maybe 2 yards of this, but it was really wide. So I folded the fabric each selvage to the middle, and I was able to cut out Newlook 6216, and this version just short sleeved. And then I used the Tilly and the Buttons Margot pajama pattern that I've made 100 times. And I just laid the pattern pieces out on my fabric, and I made them as long as my fabric would allow me to make them. So I couldn't get full-length pajamas, but they come right below my knee. And even in the winter, that's what I sleep in, is just a t-shirt and pajama pants, because I live with a man that freezes to death, and he thinks if it's not at least 73 or 4 degrees that he's going to just die. So he keeps the house really hot. He gets wood, and we have a wood stove outside. And so it's always, in the winter, it's actually warmer in the house than sometimes in the summertime. So this will be perfect winter or summer, but I really do like them. And I did take a few pictures here in the sewing room of me wearing them. They've just got elastic at the top of the shorts, and then the t-shirt is the one that I've made. I didn't narrow the neckline on it. I should have a little bit, but I wanted it to be loose and comfortable since it was going to be pajamas. And I probably should have still narrowed it down just a little bit. But anyway, I'm tickled to death with them, and I think it's the perfect pajama fabric. Now, you know, if you've been following along with my fabric wheel of fate, this is what's left. This is a beautiful rayon crepe fabric, and it came from Fabric Mart Fabrics forever ago. And it has, I showed this when I first started my fabric wheel, it has all these squares and designs, and I have just really not known what to make of this fabric, but it's so beautiful. And I think I have about 2.5 yards of this, and again, it's really wide. Now, I had some great suggestions when I first started my fabric wheel of fate, and so I'm going to go back to that and see how much fabric I have and what I can make from this. But this is my last fabric on my fabric wheel. I'll have that done maybe next week to share with you. The other fabric that I have here to show you is not mine. Can you believe it? Callie has, my daughter Callie has some windows on their back porch. I think there's like maybe 6 through the back part of it's a built-in porch, like we still call it the dining porch, but it has all these windows in the back, and she wants like little cafe curtains that just start like halfway down, and I think that's what she told me, and then goes to the bottom. But she found the cutest cotton fabric, and I'm not sure where she got this, but if I can find out before I post this, I will let you know. It's 100% cotton, and it has all these beautiful little hexies, and it's printed on, and it is just the cutest stuff, and it even has a few strawberries. Is that not adorable? And she has enough, I think, to make the curtain. So I'm going to get this fabric. I'm going to serge the raw edges and wash it. And then she's going to come down and help me make her curtains. We have to measure and all that, and she has to get the rods. But this fabric is just so cute. So she is excited about that. And when she does so, I will try to get her to make an appearance on my video. We'll see how that goes. So the other day when I showed you around my sewing room, I had one kind viewer that had asked about the little rulers that I showed, the seam allowance rulers, and I'm not sure how is best to get these to show up. I'm going to try putting it on a piece of paper right here. Now, this one is a Nancy Zeman ruler, and it's called Seams Right. And it even has this little area here, and I think that is for a buttonhole, and it has measurements, which I am pretty sure will never show up. I'll try to put a picture in, but this corner here, I can't see either, so don't feel alone. So this little corner here is 5/8 of an inch. You can measure it across or up and down. That's great to help you gauge your seam allowance. It has a 1/4 inch here. It has 1/2 inch on this bottom corner, 3/4 inch here, and a whole inch here on this corner. And then it has the buttonhole in the middle that has measurements, and you can make any size buttonhole up to an inch. So that would be it. To me, it helps me a whole lot. Like if I want to mark my seam allowance, like when you're doing a V-neck or something, I have a lot of trouble with that because I always either stop too soon or too far from the point. So this, you can take and mark your seam allowance, maybe start, say, right here, and then mark it down past the point, and then cross it over right at the point. And this is really good to mark seam allowances. It's also good just to have at your sewing machine, and you can kind of lay this down from the needle out and figure out where your 5/8 for an example, the 5/8 inch, you could lay this down and figure out what on your throat plate maybe you could follow. It's just really good to gauge your seam allowances or to measure up, you know, an accurate 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or whatever, 5/8. Now I've got another one, and this one is, I don't know what kind this one is, but it's marked on both sides, and it's just a measuring gauge. And it has up to 2 inches. It has all these different little points on it and little places that have measurements, and you can use this just to, it's a quick, handy, small little item that makes it a little bit easier to mark seam allowances or to find them on your sewing machine. And then I have this little one here, and I don't know, I'm not sure what brand this is. Maybe Clover. It's a 6-inch little ruler. And it's exactly 5/8 of an inch wide. So it is so easy if you want to mark your seam allowances, or if you need to check a seam allowance, or if you need to, like if you have a pattern that doesn't have seam allowance included, you can use this to add seam allowances around all your pattern pieces before you cut it out. Like I think, if I'm not mistaken, Berta patterns don't have the seam allowance, and I think there's a few others. And I know that if you're drafting it yourself, sometimes people don't add the seam allowance till the end. But a little 5/8 of an inch ruler is very handy to have to do that. It makes it quick and easy. And the last one I'll share with you is another little 6-inch. No, maybe it's not 6-inch. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 6-inch ruler. And this one is just a flexible, and it's a Westcott. And it's just flexible. The other one was rigid, but this one's flexible. And it has all the 1/8 inch markings on it. And it goes up to 6 inches, and it's really handy to have because it's small and easy to grab. And it's just a really handy little tool. Now, all these, the Nancy Zeman one, I think I may have bought at Hobby Lobby. But all the others I have ordered off of Waywack.com. And I just find their prices to be a lot better, a lot cheaper. But anyway, that is my little collection of seam allowance rulers. On Simplicity.com recently, they were having a sale. I think all their Newlook and Simplicity maybe were on sale for $3.99 each. I believe is what I paid for these. And I shared this one with you the other day on my favorite quill of fate. And this is Newlook 6804. And I made the short-sleeved t-shirt and the center skirt. And it's got the high-low hem one and the long straight hem and the long-sleeved tops and the short sleeve. And I just thought it was a really nice little pattern and handy to have. And when, I never hardly do that, but when it came in, I immediately knew I wanted to use the polka dot fabric to make this pattern, and I used both pieces out of it. So I was really happy with that. The next one I have is Newlook 6517, and it's just a nice little collection of sleeveless tops, sleeveless dress, tunic, and then 2 lengths of pants with pockets. And it also has a scarf. I probably would never wear that, but you know. But that's Newlook 6517. And I also got Newlook 6678, and I didn't get it for the top, although I think it's beautiful on the model, but I don't think it's the kind of thing that would look right on me, but I got it for the pants. But the tops are adorable if you can wear something like that. But the pants don't have a waistband. They just have a waist facing, and they are to be made in linen types, crepe, challis, chambray, poplin, so all kinds of different fabrics. But I really want to branch out and make more pants. So just a couple more patterns. Simplicity 9690. And again, I like the tops fine, but I probably would not make the cuffed pants, but I like the knit loose leg pants. And I like both the shirts just fine. And again, that's Simplicity 9690. And one last one, and this is the first Know Me pattern that I've ever bought. It's a Lynn Brantley Know Me by Mimi G, and it's Know Me 2069. And again, I got it only for the pants. I don't care for that top. I don't think I would like wearing the top, but I thought those pants, and I'll show you in the line drawings, they just look like a really pretty wide leg pant. And in a different fabric, the top might be good. I don't know. It's just, I don't like all the structure. So that's all the patterns I have, and that's all the sewing I have. I wanted to real briefly update you on life. We took Salem, our little beagle, back to the vet last Thursday and had her stitches taken out of her neck. And the doctor, I think, was a little surprised that we were able to keep her from scratching her incision with no cone and no drugs. So we had just watched her. I left the house twice in 2 weeks. And Mayor Greg One was with her all the time. We just barely, we didn't even leave the room and leave her alone for the first week and a half. Then we would maybe run to the bathroom and right back. But she did really well. Every time she would start to scratch, we'd yell at her, "No, no." And she would just turn her head and look like, "Why are you yelling at me?" But they took her back and took her stitches out, and they said she did great, said she was happy to see everybody and was in a good mood, and they all were just impressed that she did so well. They did tell us that the mass that they took out of her neck was cancerous. They had originally told us they had no reason to think it was. The needle biopsies they had done didn't show any cancer cells, but when they got in and took this area out, they said that it is cancer, and they did not have defined clear margins. So of course they said they could do surgery again and go in and take more tissue out and try to get it all, but they did say that this is a cancer that would spread and most likely would grow back. So then they said we could do chemo and radiation and all the things that they tell even humans when they are diagnosed. So Greg and I have decided that, Salem feels good right now. She feels fine. She's tickled to death to have that mass out of her neck. She's eating good. She's sleeping good. She's playing good, and looks better. Her eyes look brighter. So we're just going to leave her alone and let her be her little beagle self and love her and keep her healthy as long as we can. And we'll deal with the outcome when we have to and not before. It was really hard for us, and this is not a sob story at all, but it was really hard for us to pay for this surgery. And I totally understand that, some people would say you shouldn't have done that. It's a dog, they're not going to live that long anyway. But we wanted to give her every opportunity to get well. And the fact that we thought it wasn't cancer, we thought, okay, we'll have this surgery, get her through that, and then she'll be fine. And so we were shocked a little bit to hear that it was cancer, but it is what it is. I teased Greg, he did sell a car the week after we had her surgery, so we're going to be able to pay off her surgery because he sold a car. And typically, I don't have an opinion. Whatever people can do and decide to do, that is totally up to them. So we're not going to put her through anything else because I don't want to see her suffer anymore. And she's happy now, and she can scratch, and we won't yell at her. So that's the update on Salem. Couple other things. I go back next week for another injection in my left eye, and hopefully they will find out if I am stable enough to have cataract surgery. That left eye is really getting to be a problem. I really am having trouble seeing through it. So hopefully it's not going to be much longer, but I should find out next week. Now, my sister had been sick. She had had a really bad urinary tract infection, and it actually turned septic, and she had to spend some time in the hospital. She is doing better now. It just kind of takes a long time to get over anything, I guess, at our age. But the other little bit of news in our family, we have had an opportunity to play grandparents to a little baby. So the kids are foster parents, and we've had 2 teenage grandchildren for a long time. And this is the second time that we've had a little baby grandchild. So I am playing granny to my little monster, and Paul Greg is just in love with this baby. We don't know how long we'll get to love it, but we will love it just as long as we can. I, of course, can't show you any pictures of the baby, but to say the least, we are really falling hard for this child. So it may never remember us, but we will never forget the baby. So it's all good. whatever is best for him is what we're praying for. So I have been all over the place. I've talked fast, but hopefully I've not bored you too bad. So I want to say thank you for staying if you did, for watching my Friday sews and my hashtag fabric quill of fate. And if I don't chicken out on this red crepe fabric, I will have something to show you soon and have this out of my stash and hopefully in my closet to be loved. So as always, if you love to sew, if you enjoy fabric and patterns and thread and just doing all the things, don't ever give it up, because as long as you sew, you'll never have time or money to get into any trouble. Just ask me how I know. Have a great weekend and thanks so much. So tomorrow is Greg's birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
We just got done having dinner, so